children, who wants to do some gardening and plant some vegetables today with me? We've got some lovely beans here, and we're all going to plant some seeds together, and then we can watch them grow. How does that sound? We'll first start off with a song. Can you plant that bean, watch it grow up big and green? Can you water the seed and pull out the weeds? Can you shine like the sun and pick pots one by one? Working is done, now let's eat that bean. Can you plant that bean, watch it grow up big and green? Can you water the seed and pull out the weeds? Can you shine like the sun and pick pots one by one? Working is done, now let's eat that bean. Now let's plant that bean, watch it grow up big and green. Let's water the seed and pull out the weeds. Let's shine like the sun and pick pots one by one. Working is done, now let's eat that bean. Can you plant that bean, watch it grow up big and green? Can you water the seed and pull out the weeds? Can you shine like the sun, pick pots one by one? Working is done, now let's eat that bean. Okay, children. So this is my seed basket that I have at home with all the different types of seeds that I use and I plant in my garden with my kids. But today I wanted to do some beans with you guys. I've got many different types of beans. My kids' favorite types of beans are pole beans and bush beans. So you guys can decide which type of bean you'd like to do. First, what we're going to start off with though is we're going to make our little home for the bean. And we're going to start off with everybody using a clear plastic cup. And we're all just going to take a moment and decorate a picture on the cup so that we know which cup is ours when we place them on the windowsill for growing, okay? So let's all decide what we would like to draw. And I think I'm going to draw a flower. That way we know that it's my cup. I'm going to draw a purple flower with some pink petals, I think. And does anybody here do gardening at home with their families? Yeah, I do lots of gardening. I do vegetables and berries, and we have an apple tree, and I do lots of flowers like for putting in vases or just for in the garden. Okay, so everybody can finish up their picture on their cups. All right. So to start off with, everybody will have some paper towel, or you can grab some paper towel from the table here. And we're going to make it into a little home for the beans. So we're going to want to nestle them in nice, just like they would be out in the garden. Now we're not using dirt. Does anybody know why we're not going to use dirt today? Yeah, we're not going to use dirt so that it grows quicker, but also so that we can see how they grow more. Because in dirt, it's underground. You can't see it with the paper towel. We can see the roots start to grow. We can see it come out of its shell, the little plant, and start to grow bigger and bigger. Okay, so we're just going to take a piece of paper towel and crumple it up, however you want to make it into a little cozy home. Maybe you want to make it into a little nest. However you want to do it, and let's place it into the cup. And then you can decide on what type of beans you guys would like to use. I have other ones here as well if you would like to choose a different packet. And then we're going to take I'm taking a couple beans, and we're going to nestle them nicely in here into its little new home for the next little while. And then we're going to take our little watering can. And does anybody know how much water do you think it's going to need? It's going to need to get pretty wet, but not soaking, like not so that there's water left over. You just want to get the paper towel damp and wet. So we're going to spray about 4 to 5 squirts of water here. Get it all nice and wet. Now, how long do you think? See, now there's water in there, and the whole paper towel is moist, but there's no water left over at the bottom, because you don't want left over at the bottom. It'll just soak the beans too much. So now they're in here, they're nice and cozy in their little home. Now, who thinks they know how long it's going to take for the beans to sprout? It's going to take about 3 to 5 days in this environment where we were using paper towel. Do you think it would take more time or less time when we were doing it out in a pot of soil or in our gardens? It's going to take more time because the bean has to actually push. It's harder to go through soil than it is just some paper towel. And it has to push its way up through the soil to get to the sun. So with any plant, they need several things to grow. Does anybody know what those things are? Yeah, they need some sort of earth material, either soil, or what we're using is paper towel. Paper towels are made from trees, so it's acting like a soil or an organic material. It also needs, what did I put in there? Yeah, it needs water. And the most important thing in life, the sun. It needs the sunshine. So how about everybody work on planting their little seeds. And I'll come around if you have any questions or need any help. Now, once we're done, we can start thinking about where in our classroom is the sunniest spot that it's going to grow the best. Do we think over in the reading corner where it's really nice and dark and cozy? Is that going to be a good place for the beans to grow? No. How about over by the back windowsill? Yeah, that's where it's going to grow. So that's where I'll put mine, is over here by my windowsill. And now once we've planted the beans and we think, okay, we know they're going to start to grow in about 3 to 5 days, and we'll check back on them every day. Now, how long do you think until they're actually going to grow big enough so that they grow flowers and the flowers will turn to actual beans? How long do we think that's going to take? Does anybody have any guesses? It's going to take about 2 months. That's a long time, right? But once we get the beans, you guys can take them home once they're established a little bit, and you can plant them in your gardens or in a pot, and then you can see what you get out of them and how many beans you get. Does anybody eat beans here at all for dinner? My kids love beans. I put beans in soup. I use steamed beans and I add just some seasonings to them. I use them in lots and lots of dishes. My daughter actually eats them raw, which a little bit different, but that's great. They're healthy, so yeah. And now that everybody's done, let's everybody go and put your plant over by the windowsill, and then we're gonna go all wash your hands, okay? It's time to wash your hands, wash your hands. It's time to wash your hands, wash your hands. It's time to wash your hands so they come out nice and clean. It's time to wash your hands, wash your hands. All right. Now, everybody, we'll finish up our session about beans with a nice story about Jack and the Beanstalk. Does anybody know this story? Okay, so it's one of my kids' favorite stories. Jack and his mother were very poor. One day, Jack's mother said to him, "You must take the cow to market and sell her." They needed money to buy food. Jack hadn't gone far when he met an old man who offered to swap 5 beans for the cow. "Why would I do that?" asked Jack. "These beans are magic. Plant them at night, and by morning they will have grown right up to the sky." So Jack took the beans and went home. Jack's mother was furious. "You've been tricked," she cried, as she threw the beans out the window. She sent Jack to bed without any supper. In the morning, Jack looked outside in amazement. A huge beanstalk had grown and went up, up, up. The beans really were magic. Jack quickly got dressed. "I'm going on an adventure," he told his mother. He began to climb the beanstalk. When at last he reached the top, he saw a magnificent house sitting on a cloud. Jack knocked on the door, and a giantess opened it. "I suppose you're hungry after all that climbing," she said. "Come in and have some breakfast." Jack had only eaten a little bit before he left, before the whole house started to shake. "My husband is home," said the giantess. "You must hide." Hastily, Jack hid. He peeked out to see a huge giant stomp into the kitchen. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." The giant searched but couldn't find Jack, so he ate a huge breakfast and started to count his gold. He soon fell fast asleep. Jack snatched the bag of gold and dashed out of the house and down the beanstalk. His mother was so pleased to see him, and now they had money for food. The next day, Jack climbed the beanstalk again. The giantess let him in, and her husband was soon home again. Again, Jack hid. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." After his breakfast, the giant placed a golden hen on the table. "Lay, hen," he ordered, and the hen started to lay golden eggs. When the giant fell asleep, Jack snatched the hen and climbed down the beanstalk. His mother was delighted. Jack climbed the beanstalk again the next day. He crept into the house. He knew the giantess would not have let him in again. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." The giant was home, but he couldn't find Jack anywhere. So he sat down and ate an even bigger breakfast. Then the giant placed a golden harp on the table. "Play, harp," he said. The harp began playing a beautiful lullaby. Soon the giant was snoring. Jack snatched the harp and raced out of the house and back down the beanstalk. But the harp called, "Master, master," and the giant woke up. The giant chased Jack down the beanstalk. "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman." As Jack reached the bottom, he ran to fetch an axe. He chopped and chopped and chopped until, crash, the beanstalk tumbled to the ground. The giant was flung far away and Jack never saw him again. Jack and his mother lived happily ever after and were never poor again. How did you guys like that book? Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching.